You're listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to On Deck right here on the LineStar app. It's me, it's Chris Meaney, and it's Monday, a fresh set of games, a fresh week. I know a lot of you had a very emotional weekend between Avengers Endgame and Game of Thrones last night. Don't worry, no spoilers. I have a rule, and it's actually Chris Meaney is involved in this rule. And Chris, do you remember the on-target rule? I believe you were hosting with us when we had the 3 days for a TV show, 2 weeks for a movie before you can talk about it and spoil it. Were you there for this? Okay.
I was, yes.
Do you still support this notion?
I do. I still support it. You know what? I'm so far behind in Game of Thrones, I don't even bother logging on to Twitter on Sundays, even though,
How far have you caught up?
I'm only halfway through, so I have so much to catch up on that, you know what, even all the talk on Twitter, I probably wouldn't even understand it anymore.
So are you on season 4 or are you?
I'm on 3, so I'm halfway through 3. So I got some work to do, and I'm going to hopefully have a chance to see the movie this week. So, you and I can talk about it. I can at least.
I'm thinking I might just go on the weeknight. I got a couple.
That's what I'm going to do too.
Where I don't have the kids, and I'm kind of maybe I'll just go on random Tuesday night to Endgame. I can't imagine there being a lot of people there. I don't know. Everybody was there.
I would assume Tuesday would be a good day. Up here, that's cheap night for us, so I'll have to avoid Tuesday. I'll have to go
see, I don't think they do that here. I think everything is $12 a movie or whatever it is. I don't know, but it's true. This is the rule. So those of you who don't know what the rule is, because of weddings, because of family, because of all this stuff, you have 3 days to watch a TV show before I will talk about it on air and ruin things for you. 3 days, that's what you get. That's it, period. 3 days. I think that's enough of a grace time. Films, we give 2 weeks. After 2 weeks of the opening of a big film, we talk about it. That's it. So I'm going to try to see it I'm going to try to see it this week. That's my plan. I don't like to go see the opening weekend stuff. I'm done with that, Meaney.
It's just too crazy.
I'm too old for this now.
Yeah.
I remember going to midnight shows of Star Wars and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, I'm freaking out and stuff. And it's exciting, don't get me wrong. It is in that environment. But I at this point, I'm just you know what? I got a big TV downstairs. I just want to sit down and watch it.
It's a good call.
Infinity War until 2 weeks ago. I swear to God, I just saw Infinity War. I'm such a loser. And I'm looking, I'm like, you know what? I know what happens. As soon as it comes out, everybody spoils everything and all the Thanos stuff. And I'm like, whatever. I'll watch it eventually. And it did not ruin my enjoyment of it at all.
No, and same. If I see it this week or it's early next week, I'm still going to be really excited. I'm going to have a good time. And I do a good job to avoid all the talk. But that's a good rule.
The memes, that's the problem.
The
worst. all the memes of disintegration in the last one, all that stuff. Anyway, we're talking a lot about that. But if you're a nerd and you play fantasy sports, chances are you're a nerd. You like this stuff anyway. So what are you worried about? Stop complaining.
It's a good assumption.
Right, let's get to it, and let's first start recap yesterday a little bit and the weekend. I hope you listened to the weekend show, because if you did, you had Mike Minor in your lineup, and if you had Mike Minor, you got a lot of strikeouts, Chris.
Yeah, you really did. You cashed in there for sure. Texas, they outscored Seattle 29-2 on Saturday and Sunday. They had 27 hits. We talked
about that lineup breaking out, too. We said Mazara's got to break. There's some things going on there. It's got to go. Andrews was a guy we touched on.
Yes, for sure. Shin-Soo Choo is having a very solid start to the season. I believe he's hitting .330. He hit a home run yesterday. Anders has been great all year. And, Mazzaro, I don't think he went deep. He wasn't in on the 7 home runs on Saturday, Sunday, but he was getting on base and he was scoring runs. So they were good.
That's what you want.
Absolutely.
You want to see that. You want to see guys just starting to chip away at that a little bit, which is a positive.
It was a good weekend in terms of betting. Continuing to hammer Baltimore. I mean, they played, or the other way actually, hammering against Baltimore. Minnesota, more runs. They have 45 runs in the last 6 games against Baltimore, which happened all in the last 10 days. The Dodgers, the Pirates went up against 3 lefties in Rio, Hill, and Clayton, and the Dodgers got the sweep. Hammered Milwaukee against DeGrom. We were all over that, fading DeGrom on Friday. The same thing happened on Saturday against Syndergaard. So they were underdogs, road dogs. It was successful. And then hey, we got to see Vlad Jr. finally. I was at the game on Friday. A lot of excitement.
Or what? Yeah,
it was. There was a lot of excitement every time he came up to at bat. Everybody was standing up in the stadium. It wasn't as packed as the Rogers Center has been. The weekend was better. I wasn't there on Saturday, Sunday, but I tuned in on TV, and it was a much bigger crowd at the Rogers Center. But Friday was electrifying. And you know what? He got the double to start I think the 10th inning, I believe, the extra innings, and they ended up pulling him for a pinch runner, but
which is smart.
That was for sure. And that was the lead run. And actually, you know what, Joe? A lot of people were ticked off. They said, "Listen, the Jays are going to win 14 games this year. I want to see Vlad come around and score. Leave him in there." But anyways,
but you don't want to see a hamstring doing
exactly. Opening day, let's relax a little bit. So they pulled him. They got the run. They bunted over. They walked off, and I think they walked off all 3 games this weekend against Oakland. So it was a good weekend for Jays fans.
You gotta love, and you know what I love most about Vlad is his physique. I know that's the knock on him, but I want more baseball players to look like him.
What's he gonna look like in 5-7 years, though?
I'm fat.
I mean, people are already comparing him to Pablo now. I mean, usually you see a guy like that at this point of his age. What is he, 20? And you think, what is he going to look like in 5 or 7?
Well, yeah, like he's got Miguel Cabrera's body type at 28.
Right.
Not Miguel Cabrera's body type at 20.
And it's going to get worse.
It is, but for now you enjoy it.
Yeah,
but I want more guys to look like him because I feel like there's body types that I don't see anymore in Major League Baseball.
No,
in
you're
the
right.
80s and even 90s you saw. And I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to keep pounding on this. And guys were on the field. I think these guys work out way too much. I think baseball is a very taxing game on your body. I think a lot of the training they are doing to look good and all this specific training and stuff like that actually has a lot of detriment to them because I think what they're doing is they're wearing out certain parts of their body and they're wearing things out and they cannot stabilize. I mean, I've seen more oblique injuries in the last 5 years, and I don't care if these guys all have 6-packs. I want them to play 6 games a week. That's what I want them to get. All right. A couple other things from yesterday and the weekend, too. We refused to get off of the Chris Bryant trade, and he got a home run for us yesterday. So
very nice.
That's a positive. So hopefully he is moving forward. Melky Cabrera is a guy we've talked about a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He hit twice yesterday against the Dodgers there, but Urias still picked up the win. We went back and forth about the Flaherty and Sonny Gray. Remember, this was our coin flip of the day. And to be honest, we were both right. You were more right because Flaherty got the win over Gray there. But, I mean, this was our thing. I was like, I was on the Sonny Gray side. You were on the Flaherty side. And, just the 2 runs between the 2 of them in that game.
They were both great. And Sonny Gray was great again. You're right, Joe. Like, he's just been good all year.
Believe me, it terrifies me to say the words. It's like a speech bubble in a cartoon outside of my mouth where I just go, Sonny Gray, you should start him. And then I want to duck when people throw something at me. But you can. Like, right now, you just can. A good outing for Kyle Gibson, who needed one. That's what the Orioles are for.
Yes,
so you got that as well. You also got some offense from Carter Kieboom, his second home run here. He's starting to look more comfortable. You got a home run from Soto, from Robles, another guy that we've talked about a lot, who just because he was hitting at the bottom of the order sometimes, it doesn't mean that's a problem. It just means there's an opportunity potentially, especially when he's hitting 9, the pitcher's hitting 8. So that kind of like flips the lineup in a different way. And then, of course, you had the Braves, who another team that we talked about too, scored 8 runs against the Rockies. A lot of offense in this one. Good to see Daniel Murphy doing well here. Also, you see Ozzie Albies with 2 dingers, so that's a positive as well. And look, we got a lot to look forward to today. Looking forward ahead to the Monday slate. We've got Milwaukee at home, which is always fun. By the way, have you seen Christian Yelich's split stats on the year, home and road?
My goodness.
Because he's got a 1.811 OPS at home, and his OPS on the road is 757. That's a drastic – I mean, we're like real drastic kind of thing. He's got like 1 home run so far on the road and what's it, 13 or whatever else he's got at home. It's pretty crazy.
You're right. Just looking now, hitting 417 at home with 13 home runs, 29 RBIs. He's walked 14 times. Yeah.
And what's the home run and RBIs on the road?
And on the road, he has 1 home run and 5 RBIs.
I mean,
he's hitting a measly 296.
Well, look, now that he's back in Milwaukee, it's time to go crazy again. All right. So basically, until that straightens itself out in some way, I'm not touching this guy on the road. I'm not even like thinking about it because he's been so great in this ballpark. And look, there's no more opportunity for him here today. But sure. Let's get after it and let's start with what we got here on the slate. And I got to just tell you, this is not a hot take, probably, but this is a big cash game slate for me today because I do not love the middling pitchers. There's not a lot of guys, and like we always talk about the 8K guys on DraftKings, Chris, that you can put two together and have a really respectable pitching staff of around 1,600 or something. It's almost impossible to do that tonight and feel comfortable. So, I mean, you've got to really have giant cojones to get involved, I think, tournament-wise today. I think it's cash games. I think it's simple, and I think it's all about getting the lineups right. What's your take on this slate overall as you look at it kind of, 1,000 feet in the air?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good call. I mean, you're top heavy here with some pitchers like Corbin. Wheeler is coming off a very strong start, and then you got Verlander, and then it's like, what else are you going to do there, right? Like nobody, you can drop down if you want to the Dodgers and the Padres game. I mean, if you want to go Maeda against the Giants offense, it's not, spectacular. You can go that route, but I mean, you're spending up at 9-7. So I right now looking at the slate, I don't have a good feel for like a low end pitcher. Like none of them.
No, I don't either. And it doesn't mean you can't play tournaments. It just means the tournament lineup that you're used to kind of us putting out there along with the LineStar app and the optimizer and everything we like to go through here on the program. It's not conducive to that, which means you might just take some of these cash game lineups that you have and you take the Verlander lineup and you throw it in a tournament. Yeah. I think that's the strategy today. And you don't worry about it. And I think the trap is trying to get too cute. Trying to go Michael Wacha against Washington, which I don't love. Trying to go Montas against the Red Sox, which I definitely don't like, which we'll get to in a second. And let's start here with Patrick Corbin and Michael Wacha locking up here at 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Washington Nationals taking on the Cardinals in this one. Look, I'm of the mind today that I'm just willing to spend up for Verlander. I love the Verlander matchup so much, Chris, against Minnesota because that team does have a ton of strikeouts in it, where I don't see him not getting double-digit strikeouts. And I'm just not taking the risk. I don't care. Are you somebody who wants to, diversify a little bit and maybe have Corbin in one or Wheeler like you talked about before?
No, I definitely like Wheeler. I was very impressed with his last showing, and that's another team that we were in on actually. When we were talking about the recap, is the Reds. They had a great Friday. We said there was an opportunity to jump on some of their lower priced bats, and they went off. But even still, for Wheeler, this is probably going to be his easiest matchup. And I'm not saying it's super super easy, but he's had to face everybody inside that division, and he struggled. But he's coming off a really good start, so I like that one. But yeah, to answer your question. Like Corbin, I'm not going to spend up on Corbin because I respect St. Louis's offense. They're a team that doesn't strike out a ton. They have some guys in there that can hit lefties. Paul DeJong has been really good all season long. Jose Martinez is solidified now in that 5 spot. He checks in at a good value. He's been fine. Ozuna looks healthy, tearing the cover off the baseball. Carpenter, with the leadoff.
It's not super safe. It's just
it's not. And for Verlander, he's coming off an outing against Minnesota where he only allowed 1 run and he had 8K. And there's just a large sample there from him. 3 starts in a row where he's allowed just 1 run in each of those outings, and he's got almost 30K over that span, 46 over 38 innings on the year. So I agree. I think spending up for Verlander is the safest play. You can roll him out in a tournament, and then just fade Corbin and what is a better offense that he's facing.
Yeah, and going back to the Nationals lineup, too, on the other side of things, Key Boom is at 3.7 on DK, Adam Eaton, even Brian Dozier, who, if you go in the optimizer in terms of return on investment, Dozier is one of the top guys there at second base, potentially here in tonight's game. He's just 3.8. You could do the Dozier, Key Boom, Eaton, or Dozier, Key Boom, and skipping the pitcher there and going even with Robles, who's 4.4, before you get into the real expensive guys in this lineup. And then, honestly, you could even throw Matt Adams in there, too, if, in the 4.3 in the discussion, because I feel like there's opportunity there always with Matt Adams with the power that he possesses. But this Washington lineup tonight, I think, has some pieces that I want. And I think what I'm doing tonight is a lot of duos. It's a lot of – I like Dozier and Key Boom in this lineup, and I'm going to go to the Dodger lineup, and I'm going to pick out – I like Turner and Muncy in this lineup, and I feel like that's the way I'm approaching it. It's like little pairings as opposed to full stacks, just because of the way the pricing lays out and the way I'm kind of hamstrung because of how much I have to spend on Verlander.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I love the Adams call, get a piece of, what the heart of that lineup right in the middle after Soto. I don't know if Rendon's going to play in this game. He only played 1 game last week with an elbow injury. Even still, that team applied total will drop down and maybe people will be off of the stack. I think that could be a mistake. Like Wacha has struggled with walks, 14 of them, 5 home runs. He's getting hit hard. The fly ball rate is hard. As of right now, the wind's blowing out to left.
All right, let's continue on here. Frankie Montas goes over with the A's to face Eduardo Rodriguez and the Boston Red Sox. Now, I am actually in on Rodriguez a lot, and people say, oh, he's 91. The ERA isn't great on the year, but I think you got to dig a little deeper here when it comes to Rodriguez. You see Mookie Betts hit a home run over the weekend. That's a good sign. I understand another loss for sale is not what everybody wanted yesterday, but look, it's, just keep buying on him everywhere and just keep doing it. But I want to point out with Erod so far, in the 2 starts away this year, the 3 starts he's had away, 13 innings, he's given up 23 hits, he's got a whip of 2.25 and an ERA of 9.45. In the 2 home games, 12 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, 3 walks, a .63 whip, a 2.13 ERA. This has not been the same guy on the road as it has been at home. He's at home tonight against the A's, a respectable lineup, yes. But on a night where I'm kind of a little desperate looking for an opportunity, that's the opportunity I want to take, and I'm going to be having a lot of Eduardo Rodriguez shares tonight.
Agree with you again. I mean, that's the guy, if you're playing tournaments and you're just a tournament player and you want to, just fade Verlander in a couple, that's the guy that I would go to. I wouldn't go up at Corbin. I would just fade him completely and then have some shares of Eduardo. I agree with you 100%. There's some upside there with strikeouts, some good splits numbers there that you just mentioned. And Oakland just went into Toronto, against a mediocre pitching staff and got swept and, only scored a handful of runs. So maybe they're in a little bit of a lull right now. They're struggling offensively. And for Montas, gives up a lot of contact. Most of it's on the ground, but I got to give the advantage here to Boston and their offense to maybe even, get a W for Eduardo. And, he's won 2 of his last 3 games, just getting into the 5th, getting into the 6th, he's going to get you 6 or 7 strikeouts. And, Joe, his last outing was really, really strong. I mean, only 2 hits allowed, 1 earned run.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer tonight, and I think that Montas is the kind of guy that he should get hit around a little bit by that Boston lineup. That Boston lineup will everything will right itself eventually.
It's just about May now.
Yeah, exactly. We're almost there, boys and girls. We're so close. We're so close to
the
May.
hangover was a good 6 weeks long. They'll be here.
Well, it happens sometimes. Teams experience a lot of success. You win 100-something games, you win the World Series, you forget the edge that it takes to win on a daily basis a little bit.
That could be some of sales issues too, be pushing hard through an injury last year. I mean, that could be some of the issues as well. I mean,
overcompensating. I mean, there's a lot of just getting a new contract, trying to live up to the money. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that. Tanner Roark and the Reds face Zach Wheeler and the Mets today in New York. Weather's going to be good for this one, which is good considering some of the rain on the weekend. But looking ahead here, you got Votto, obviously at the top of the lineup, Suarez, Winker, and Puig, that 1 through 4 over there. There's certainly opportunity there, although Wheeler did pitch well last time. And we also have to talk about the trend of Jeff McNeil, who's taken over that leadoff spot for Brandon Nimmo. But I like Nimmo tonight against Tanner Roark. That's another one of these one-off guys where I feel like he's got a high floor, a guy who gets on base a lot, a guy who can, just when these cash games lineups, just give me enough points that he's going to keep me competitive and not give me a 0. And I think Nimmo is one of those kind of guys, especially at that. You also got Todd Frazier, who came back over the weekend too. But McNeil's the guy at the top of the lineup, which is funny because I just did that Fantrax piece, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Comparing him to young Matt Carpenter. I did the side-by-side swing analysis. It's frightening how much they look like the same hitter outside of the little bit more open stance in the beginning. But once they finish through, they look like the same guy. And McNeil, I think, will grow into power a little bit over his career. But him at the top of that lineup right now, I mean, if he has success there, he's going to stick.
I love it. As a season-long owner in a few spots, actually, I'm a fan, man. He gets on base. He makes contact. It's a great comparison by you. You're all over it. And now he's leading off for the Mets. I think this is a sneaky, sneaky stack. And I say that because you look at other team-implied totals like Boston, 4-9. We talked about Washington, 4-6. We haven't even got to Atlanta and Houston, who are flirting with 5s. I think this is a sneaky, underrated Mets
and a
stack.
lot of familiarity with Roark, too, over the years.
Absolutely. And if you look at Roark, I mean, last year, 24 home runs. The year before that, 23 home runs. If you look at just some of the numbers this season, he's getting hit hard, 43% hard hit rate, a 33% fly ball rate. He's typically a fly ball pitcher anyways, so this game is not in Cincy, but it's still in New York. The wind is blowing out to left right now. I like some of these fly ball hitters. I love McNeil at top. I know Alonso is expensive. Fly ball hitter, obviously he's shown that so far in his career. Conforto as well. Frazier's another guy who checks in pretty cheap. You mentioned Nimmo, so I think this Mets stack is not only affordable, it's a sneaky one.
Well, yeah, Pete Alonso's just having just a tremendous season so
Oh
far.
my
Really,
goodness, what a start! I would never have imagined, Joe. I thought maybe a couple bombs here and there, struggle at the plate, strikeouts, maybe defensively, but he's been
I was very bullish
much
on
more
him.
than you can ask.
As I called him, the young Paul Konerko. I was very bullish on him because I thought whenever you have a 3-4-5 slash, that's an elite player. I don't care what level you're doing it in. And he was doing it at AAA last year. I don't care if the ballpark was helpful, whatever. 3-4-5 is 3-4-5, and I mean 300, 400, 500 slugging. So, anybody who could do that or come close to that, that's an elite level player. And Alonso hitting 2, I think he's benefited a lot from having Cano in that lineup. I know Cano hasn't been great here, but this is why it's important to have veteran presence in lineups.
Agreed.
A couple of weeks ago with the Indians, and now we're talking it again, with the Mets. And part of the reason for Alonso's success is he's hitting in front of Robbie Cano, and that is a good job by Van Wagenen to bring him in the offseason. All right, Nick Margevicius, the lefty, takes on Mike Soroka and the Braves in Atlanta. What's your beat on this one? Because I don't have one on this game.
I do like Soroka. If I'm looking for a mid-level pitcher to target, he's very interesting. It's a small sample size, but he's allowed 1 or 0 runs in 5 of his 7 starts dating back to last year. Obviously, still a rookie, much like a lot of these young rookies, especially in Atlanta's rotation, struggling with walks. Tatis Jr. is not going to play today. It looks like that's going to be maybe a lengthy injury for him, unfortunately. He's been good, but he's also had some strikeouts.
Does that mean that Kinsler goes up to the top of that lineup?
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm guessing. It's him or Margot, but I don't know. I think Kinsler probably gets the nod at the top.
Yeah, probably. You're right. I mean, Kinsler had lost that spot, and it was Margot for a little bit. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Margot. Either or. It's a
keep an eye on that tonight because both those guys are cheap. And I'm just saying it's one of those lineup builders where you're trying to get squeeze guys in. You're trying to, if you're trying to get Erod and Verlander in the same lineup there, you're going to have to find some value somewhere. And I don't love Kinsler or Margot necessarily, but at the top of the order,
the thing, I'm just going to – Atlanta just hits lefties so well that, they got the highest team applied total of the day at 5.1. Albies had 2 home runs yesterday. He's going to lead off against a lefty. We already know that Ronald Acuna Jr. and Josh Donaldson, Markakis, we already know they hit lefties so well. So I think there's an opportunity for Soroka to get a W. And right now the Padres are striking out the second most in baseball, so maybe he can rack up a few Ks as well. So I think I lean that side of Atlanta, maybe some of their bats. And if you're looking for just a value pitcher, I think Soroka's the guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're looking for the mid-tier, he's – now, would that be your 8K pairing? Would it be Soroka and Kenta Maeda tonight? To me, that's the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Kenta Maeda's 9.7. I mean, he's no discount.
No, he's not.
And that's the thing. I keep looking at it, and I go, well, hell, if I'm going to spend, I want to spend for more of a sure thing. I like Soroka as much as the next person. But at the same time, it's like, well, I mean, if I'm going to go up to the board, man, let me just go up there and go get it.
If you're a DraftKings player, I agree with you, Joe, 100%.
FanDuel, it's a little different.
A FanDuel, it's tough. Like, Soroka is 9.2, Corbin's 9.7, Rodriguez is 8.5. Like, you're not going to spend
but then you got
Soroka, you can spend 8.5 for Rodriguez.
And exactly, and Kenta Maeda is 8.9. So I mean, looking at the difference between those, it's I don't know.
Maybe you fade him on FanDuel and you play him on DK. If you're,
I can live with that. All right, let's keep going here. We talked about Verlander before against Odorizzi. And I do, sometimes we even talk about the opportunity to go opposite here and go a little contrarian and go with the other side of a game. I'm not going there with Odorizzi, not against this lineup, not against Houston, not doing it. So just hard pass for me. Look, the bats are expensive with Houston tonight, so it's kind of tough to get in there. The cheapest one is, guess who? Our boy Carlos Correa still, the one that you want anyway.
Yeah.
And look, I know Euler Gurriel is 2.1. I don't love him, but I understand him and Tyler White. I get it. Because we keep talking about you need to save money somewhere. Any of those 2 guys at the bottom there, Gurriel or White, enter into it at 2.1 and 2.2 respectively.
Yeah, definitely. Why not? I mean, even I know it's 3.8 for Chirinos. I mean, he went yard yesterday, but I think his average is like the 4th best among catchers with 60 at bats. So it's an opportunity. You're right. You're saying, should you avoid this great offense against Odorizzi? It's so dangerous to do that. But if you're going to play tournaments, why not get a couple of those guys in there, who people are not going to think about? And if they do get on base like Brantley and Correa, Reddick, it's just unbelievable last 10 days.
If you're playing like Gurriel and White, you could probably get up there and figure out a way to get Yelich in there at home. And
exactly. those guys go off, and you're on your way for sure. I mean, Odorizzi he's a fly ball pitcher who just gives up home run after home run.
Yeah, and wait, now looking at it, because just going through all the in terms of looking ahead and things like that here, looking at Freeland, this is another guy too where we like Kyle Freeland as a pitcher. I just don't like him in this ballpark going in Milwaukee with how good that offense has been.
Right.
And look, I want to point out too with the Yelich back issue. I mean, do we have? I don't know if we've gotten firm. Do we have firm notice on that yet? As of right now, as this recording, I don't.
No, I don't. We don't know much about what's going on with the back. I know he left yesterday, but I'm seeing he's maybe unlikely to return to the lineup tonight.
So he's probably out of the lineup today, which is actually in a lot of ways, I think.
Does that make you like Freeland more? Or?
No, it doesn't make me like Freeland more, but it makes me actually kind of a little bit more interested in even the rest of the Milwaukee guys, only because then everybody kind of changes spots again. We just talked about how when a guy's out, how that manipulates the lineup. We just talked about that with San Diego, not talking about it with Milwaukee too. I mean, it means Grandal in the 4, maybe Aguilar is forced back into that lineup, but things like that. It's just things you don't like about it. But I don't know. I mean, does it from an ownership standpoint at least make you a little bit more intrigued where people go, oh no, Yelich in the lineup tonight, and Freeland's on the mound, whereas all of a sudden the ownership might dip a little bit than what it would have been had Yelich been healthy in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I mean, their team implied total might drop down a little bit. And, you look at that lineup, there's some guys who can really hit lefties. So, I mean, I wouldn't avoid them altogether. I know Freeland does a good job of keeping the ball on the ground, but, I mean, Kane is one of the better hitters in the league against lefties. Ryan Braun has had some struggles this season, but he's got some upside. Grandal has been really good. Yeah, Aguilar is, if I'm going to attack this from like a Kachurian low-owned side of Aguilar and Shaw Moustakas. I know Aguilar is really, I think he only played once last week, Joe. If Thames is getting into that lineup, I'm not sure he'll get in the lineup against a lefty tonight, but he could. So yeah, maybe you attack. I'm more interested on Colorado's side, to be honest. I'm not.
I am too. And Daniel Murphy is still just 3K on FanDuel, which I don't understand.
Oh,
again, we talk about the slow burn of guys coming back from injury on FanDuel, and just continues to be a trend here. You got him at 3, and on the LineStar app today, one of the favorite outfielders in terms of return on investment is Ian Desmond at 2.3.
Love that call by them.
Guys. And so, again, if you don't have the LineStar app, you should. And if you have it, you should upgrade to the premium product, because the breakdown of Ian Desmond today on the return on investment outfielders, and this goes on the DraftKings and the FanDuel side. He's high up on both. He's in the top 3, I believe, in both. And that's because of the power-speed combination. It's because of the ballpark. It's because of the pitching matchup and because of the price. I mean, everything is there. Why not take a shot on Desmond tonight?
Yep. No, I think that's a great call by LineStar for sure. They're all over it. Somebody who has struggled and has the potential to, on any given day with that lineup, to have a huge night for you. Yeah, Murphy was 2-2 heading into the weekend. He's got a home run in back-to-back games. So
yeah, whatever. I don't get. We talked about it before, and it's like, it's climbing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's in Milwaukee. It should be climbing well into the mid-3s by now, and it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's at 3 flat, and that's crazy. It's almost like the stock market thing where you just can't believe, just buy Google. What's wrong with you people? Just buy it. Can't you see how it's going to change everything?
Yeah.
All right. John Means and the Orioles take on Manny Banuelos and the White Sox here today.
Lefty.
Lefty matchup too, and that just makes me say Trey Mancini, and it makes me look at Jose Abreu, and you got to pay for Abreu, but still, those are the two big righty bats.
Yeah. Abreu is straight up feeling it.
And you know what? I'll put Beef Castillo in there too. I think Wellington, in terms of catcher, is a guy that is respectable investment on catcher tonight, because I think that there's opportunity there for him. He's at home. The price is pretty good. So to me, and the app agrees with me also in terms of the optimizer, he is the most cost-efficient catcher in terms of return on investment value and projection tonight. And he's my catcher tonight. That's all I'm rolling with. I'm rolling with the Beef Castillo.
I like it. LineStar's all over it. Listen, Baltimore, 71 home runs allowed. 71.
Is that all?
The next closest team is at 51.
That's only 5 more than Christian Yelich has this year. Sure.
It's amazing to me. 71 home runs, and St. Louis checks in at number 2 with 51 home runs. I mean, their starting pitching staff alone. I know Means has been, their best pitcher, but I mean, their starting pitchers have allowed 37 home runs, and that's the most in baseball. And you go look at their bullpen, and their bullpen has allowed 34 home runs. That's the most in baseball. Like ERA pushing 7. So I mean, if you can get some of these White Sox bats and just continue with the trend, I know Means has been he's been a popular pickup, over the last 24 hours because he got 2 starts this week. He faces the White Sox again. He had a pretty good showing against them, only went 5 innings, but 6 Ks. But this opportunity again for just a team to beat up on this pitching staff.
All right, you got Ryan Stanek and Brad Keller going head-to-head in Kansas City, taking on the Rays. Look, the Rays are a good baseball team, and this is another one where you look at it and you see Lowe, Pham, Choi, Yandy Diaz, all these guys kind of in play, even Navasel potentially in play too. I don't like I'm not a big Kiermaier guy. I can't get there.
No,
I know you've been right on Zunino a couple times this year, and you've gotten them
randomly. Yeah,
you've gotten the random home run from Zunino, but that's the problem too.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it too, you're not getting a discount on any of the guys that you want in the Royals lineup. So you've got to basically be committed to this. As a stack, I like it. The problem is you've got to be using one of these lesser pitchers. I don't think you can go with the stack here on either side really and get away with it from the Verlander Corbin kind of pricing. I just don't see that happening. I can't really squeeze it in, so I don't know anybody else's.
Yeah, no, Dozier I love, but he's gotten to the point now where he's really expensive.
4-4 on FanDuel.
Yeah,
just for perspective, he's 4-4 and Daniel Murphy's 3.
It's unbelievable.
That is
right?
okay. Just there's your perspective of the day.
And sometimes I don't know what that is. I know he's hot and he's been really good this season. And he missed some time. He came back to the weekend series against the Angels. I think he had a 4-for-5 game. He had a really good showing. He didn't go yard, but he had a great weekend. And he's buzzy. He's trendy. A lot of people are talking about maybe that's it. I don't know, but yeah, I mean that's a crazy difference in terms of pricing and players that we're talking about between him and Murphy. But I agree with you on the Tampa side of things. It's really hard to afford these guys and then spend up on pitching. Maybe if you do end up with Maeda or Soroka or whatever site you play and you do spend down somehow on pitching, maybe, but I don't recommend it. Yandy Diaz he's been so good this season.
He has.
He's got 7 home runs, on base percentage almost 400, slugging 600. He's been really good this year, but it's a stack you got to spend up on.
All right, last one, Kenta Maeda against Jeff Samardzija. I do like Maeda tonight. If you really don't want to pay and you can't stomach going all the way to the top for Verlander, Maeda I think is a pretty good changeover there. I love Muncy in this one against Samardzija and Justin Turner. 3.3 for Turner. I love that pricing, and Max Muncy 3.1. I'll take the guys there and take my chances. I will take the corner boys. There's my other duo of the night, the dynamic duo of Muncy and Turner and Maeda. That's my threesome there, my trio, if you want to put them together there. We just don't love that San Francisco lineup, and with good reason. I mean, I know they're in San Francisco tonight. I just don't care.
No, they can't do anything. Yeah, they just can't get anything done. We joked about Bumgarner being their best bat in the lineup, I think, on Friday night. These Dodgers, I know that they're playing in San Fran, and maybe that's why they're cheap, but they were cheap on the weekend against Pittsburgh too. And
they
I know,
were.
Yeah, it's weird to me. I know Bellinger he's just been off the charts, unbelievable. I get it. He'll be 6'5" by the end of next week. But, I mean, Eager and Turner and Pollock, I mean, you threw up Muncy, who had a good weekend. These guys are all 4 and below on DK, and to me, it's like, am I on the FanDuel page or the DraftKings page? And because usually that's the price I'd see for them on FanDuel, which they all are, right? They're even cheaper on FanDuel. Pollock in the middle of that lineup at 3,000.
Yeah, he's been quiet.
All he does is give up
zeros too, and I think the zeros are what's killing Pollock's value. I really do. So
yeah, that's
where I look at it. All right, so to recap, here we go tonight. We're looking at the cash games hardcore. We're really paying up for Verlander. We're happy with that. If you want to go with Wheeler, that's fine too. We're kind of on Corbin against that lineup of St. Louis who hits lefties well. If you do want to go down to the secondary pitchers, it's Maeda or Eduardo Rodriguez, who's been very good at home. Don't forget those splits. And we're talking about duos, a couple of those cheap duos we talked about. Washington Nationals, a couple duos there with Kieboom and Dozier at the bottom of the order, Muncy and Turner, and a few other ones in between. Daniel Murphy's a great savings tonight as well. All right, it's time to call our shot, and I'm going to go with our boy Daniel Murphy in Milwaukee against Zach Davies. Calling my shot, dinger for Daniel Murphy. Who you got?
I like it. That'll be 3 games in a row for Daniel Murphy. I'm going to stay in the same game. I think there's going to be some home runs in the game. I'm going to go with Charlie Blackmon. I think we're going to get a leadoff home run there. Again, let's pick on Davies today. It's easy to go the other way and pick on Odorizzi, but I think it could, maybe we'll get some guys low owned in Colorado. That'd be nice.
All right. That'll do it for us. Make sure you download the LineStar app and follow us on Twitter at LineStar App and LineStar MLB. You can also follow me and Chris at Chris Meaney and at Joe Pisapia 17. That'll do it for us today. There's nothing left to do except step out of the on-deck circle and into the batter's box and go yard. We'll see you next time, kids.
You've been listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.